Hey, what's up guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. I hope everybody's doing well, and we're going to dive into a bunch today. So per usual, I have like a million tabs open. So I'm going to go through these, trim these clips together, and I hope you enjoy. So last night, I finished my R3 Corda certification. It was relatively easy because it was open book, but I definitely got a better understanding of these permission networks, and I should have done it a long time ago. Alright, so first up, I'm sure you guys have seen this website, but for anybody interested, this website is app.rwa.xyz, so a global market overview showing the total number in dollars of the total real-world assets on-chain over 15 billion. I wanted to touch on this because I saw a great 20-minute video uploaded by King Solomon or Ryan over at IOV_owl, and I highly recommend you follow him along with this company, Genfinity.io. They share great content. Ryan's been a good buddy of mine probably since like 2020, so I can't believe it's already been 5 years, but he goes over this and he talks about the market overview. Without going over what he did share some interesting patents with Bank of America, and it does look like it is potentially Hashgraph in this if you guys want to watch this video. But I retweeted it, he posted this on January 10th if you want to watch the full thing, but I wanted to come back to this and just talk about the overall tokenization opportunity really quick, and then we're going to dive into some recent news. So we're looking at the total real-world asset value of $15 billion, and that sounds like a lot, and it is, but when you compare it to these other markets and asset classes, this is an absolute fraction of a fraction. So it's going to be fun to watch these numbers climb in the future, and just for reference, we're at 15 billion today, so I want to go over some stats that have been shared by Swift, BCG, etc. Just to read these really quick, I know you guys have seen these and me share these multiple times, but we can see from Swift, by some estimates, volumes of tokenized assets could reach $24 trillion by 2027. And I touched on this in the last video, the Ripple custody case study, so DZ Bank leveraging Ripple custody. And they have successfully launched a digital custody offering for crypto securities such as tokenized bonds. So this is one example with Ripple custody, and this is regulated under German law right there. Here we can see the total volume of assets under custody in euros. This is equivalent to over 350 billion US dollars as well. And I see this news as just one of several dozen snowballs that are only going to get bigger. Now coming back to this was an estimate made by Swift back in 2022. Could we actually reach 24 trillion by 2027? Because we're getting close. The other stats by BCG, the total tokenized market to be 10% of global GDP by 2030. And for reference on IMF.org, looking at the data mapper right here, we can see the global GDP today at 115 trillion. So 10% of this number today is 11.5 trillion. And even comparing 10% of this value today, around 11 trillion, to what's on-chain today of 15 billion is crazy. And of course by BCG, let me full screen this. This is the title of the report if you want to check this out, On-Chain Asset Tokenization. These are the numbers that we've seen for years, $16 trillion in business opportunity by 2030. They even talk about higher numbers in the best case, 68 trillion. And it's not just me referencing these reports, we also have Zonix, which is a Ripple partner, and we can see down here 16.1 trillion digital assets tokenized by 2030. With right here the value of tokenized public equities, funds, and bonds by 2030, 1.8 trillion. And just looking at equities, this is referring to public equities, and then we have bonds. Both of these individual asset classes are over 100 trillion, the global bond market and the global equities market. So I just want to point out that this type of estimate is not crazy, even with Ripple and Medico predicting $10 trillion for the crypto custody market by 2030. And I believe it's going to be a multi-chain future. With that type of value, it's going to trickle into a bunch of projects. It doesn't mean that every single project is going to be the one and absolutely crush it, but I believe there's still going to be many that rise with the tide. So I just wanted to rant a bit about that, considering a lot of these partnerships, the big four like Deloitte, and just considering the future where we are today. In terms of the potential of 15 billion compared to their estimates of 16 trillion. And similar to what King Solomon did, looking at other numbers, just looking at the BCG estimate of 16 trillion divided by 15 billion, think 1,000 billion is 1 trillion. So this type of growth to reach BCG's estimates is a 1000x, as we can see right there. So friendly reminder that I'm discussing these stats shared by BCG and Swift and looking at the total number of real-world assets on-chain at 15 billion. Does that mean that this number has to 1000x by X number of years? No, it doesn't, but that type of potential is what excites me. I personally think that Web3 is one of the biggest opportunities that I'll ever see in my lifetime, along with many other people, and that's what I'm looking for. Especially with the rise of new use cases and large language models leveraging AI, a lot of these technologies are going to be super complementary, IoT, gaming, etc. It's only going to get crazier. Our heads are going to be spinning at news and new developments, and it's going to be hard to know who is the winner, but I think there are going to be some very big winners in this space. I draw a lot of parallels of Web3 and these crypto assets we see today to future FANG stocks. So think of the big companies today, Facebook, which is now Meta, we have Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, which is technically Alphabet. I believe, not financial advice, that this asset class has that potential for individual projects over the long term to surpass the market caps of some of these FANG stocks. And hey, maybe I'm nuts and that's a bold thing to say, but that's what I believe, and it's similar to going back in the year 1995 and thinking about the creation of Amazon. People laughed at it. They laughed at email, they laughed at cloud, they laughed at mobile phones. They laughed at social media, they laughed at e-commerce. It never ends, only time changes people's minds. And guess what? They laughed at Bitcoin as well. They laugh at crypto every bear market because it's a 3 to 5 year cycle. And what I believe, to reach these types of valuations of trillions of dollars more in this asset class, I think that regulation is going to play a really big part. So I think that future bull runs are definitely going to be regulatory based. But the good thing about price action is the higher prices go, the more attention is on this space, and guess what? Regulations come. And there are so many things going on related to the MiCA regulation in the European Union. We could maybe talk about the Bitcoin Act. We could talk about President Donald Trump in speculation if he actually makes Bitcoin a reserve. And hey, we literally just saw again Donald Trump meeting with Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO. And Gensler's going to be gone next week. I still think there's going to be plenty of FUD points per usual, but hopefully this administration is going to be very positive for crypto. We have US Congress expected to prioritize crypto legislation in 2025, key issues like stablecoins in the FIT-21 Act, which is basically a bill in the United States Congress to explicitly address the treatment of digital assets under US law. And this also happened today. We have XRP officially flipping BlackRock and market cap. And we can see in this chart by Reuters, this is based on December 5th, but we can see the United States is the largest investor in spot Bitcoin ETFs. And I still believe we have a great shot in 2025 to see spot ETFs go live based on applications for XRP, Litecoin, Solana, HBAR, paving the way for more. We have shared by the Algorand Foundation which blockchains in the top 60 have never experienced network downtime or inaccessibility. So we have XRP, Cardano, Tron, Algo. I believe this is VeChain, correct me if I'm wrong, and then I believe Near. Along with ICP, and ICP definitely has some of the highest development activity in the space. So this is good to see for Trust. I'm not necessarily a big believer in Tron by any means, and this hasn't stopped other networks. Solana has been down so many times. Even Sui had some issues, but they're doing really well and they're getting a lot of adoption. And one big thing about Solana, and I know I'm guilty of criticizing it over the years, and that's on me, I missed out. It has its fair share of downtime and issues, but it's really testing the limits of what blockchains can do. So I'm looking forward to Monad when it goes live. Because I think this narrative with Solana and Sui isn't even close to being over yet, and this whole narrative about parallel execution to the EVM is only going to get bigger. So some of these networks, I know it's frustrating if networks do go down, but what they're doing for the crypto space is really good because they're testing the limits of what's possible and other projects are learning and improving upon it. And that entire process is how this space grows. Alright guys, we're going to finish up with a couple things. We'll call it a day. Thank you guys so much for watching. So Bitcoin dominance doing the same thing, awaiting for the crash, awaiting for the next alt season. I believe when we do crash, we close these gaps below. When do we do it? No idea. I want to see Bitcoin making higher highs as Bitcoin dominance crashes. And during these last two crashes, this was around the time Bitcoin had its first major move, and then this period, let me just zoom in a little bit. Bitcoin did its first major move here and we were already crashing beforehand, so it's usually not too far apart from Bitcoin's first major move, and we already had Bitcoin's first major move. So that's my Moonboy Hopium argument for alt season to happen a lot sooner than waiting for another few months, but you just never know. It is possible for Bitcoin dominance to keep climbing. I don't think that's the case. I think that we're more similar to previous ranges, kind of waiting for the really big crash though. We have Bitcoin on the monthly, same thing. I just believe we're in another cycle, and this previous move during the first major move in November was confirmation of another cycle. So throughout this cycle, my expectations are for Bitcoin to keep monthly candle body closures above the 8-month EMA. So if we end up pulling back, like 2017, down to 80K, my guess is that people will think that we're not getting another bull run, but provided we hold these levels, I believe we are. Last cycle didn't even pull back, it just kept running, so we're just going to keep taps. Looking at XRP on the monthly time frame, I'm just not betting against XRP when its monthly RSI, this momentum or sustained buying pressure is this high, over 80. Because we didn't see this last cycle, but during 2017, when we actually surpassed 80 and ran, that's when we saw these really large candles. So XRP is going to do whatever it wants to do, but I'm looking for XRP to draw major moves and all-time highs. And looking at XLM, which is interesting as well, because we know there's a big correlation for XLM and XRP, during the 2017 cycle, this RSI also got over 95. But whereas XRP's monthly RSI actually is staying just over 80 today, XLM actually hit just around 80 and then actually came back down. And we'll finish up with VeChain today, so we're on the weekly time frame. I saw comments asking about it. So basically looking at VETs, we are in accumulation. We broke up to the 236, holding the 11.8. We have an open fair value gap, we'll just say around 13-14 cents. So that's definitely a level I want to see us break through. If we did break over 21 cents, I could see a new all-time high. And if you don't like Dino coins, all good, but what I like about VeChain is it's one of the assets on the Coin50 index. And what I like about this list is these have all passed the compliance checks, the network security check, and the circulating supply check, so having the majority of their tokens in circulation. So that's at least a relief looking at the total supply and the max supply and seeing the circulating supply almost there, so most of the inflation is done, and that helps explain how painful these past few years have been for several projects. I haven't kept up with recent developments for VeChain, but I do trade it in my DCA bots. I remember seeing years ago a really good interview by Crypto Eddie, and I believe his name is Sunny. And just looking at the max supply of VeChain, we have 86.7 billion. So basically for a $1 VeChain with 100% circulation, I guess we could just look at the circulating supply today, 80 billion. So basically it would require an $81 billion market cap for $1. Is it possible? $1 is right around the 4.236? Possibly. I just want to see us, if and when we close this first fair value gap, we break through the 786 around 21 cents, then I'd be looking at like 33 cents and 42 cents. It'll be one day at a time, but we need to see Bitcoin continue the usual cycle, making higher highs in the crash of Bitcoin dominance. In the meantime, for VeChain, we definitely want to see us maintain above this 50-week moving average around 3.47 cents. And other than that, I mean, this could be a cup and handle pattern and we shoot up to the fair value gap, but during any pullbacks, I want to see VeChain maintain above the 500-day on the daily time frame, we'll just say around 3 cents. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash the like button and let me know your thoughts down below. You can find all links to my crypto resources, including tools for charting, trading bots, wallets, portfolio trackers, and exclusive discounts right in my link tree in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.